Hi, I'm Kelley Fahey, and this is Still Can't Cook, a podcast where I'm going to talk to you about what it's like to be 50 and plus 50, because I'm really 53, but I like just sitting in the 50 of it. So let's just say 50 something, okay? And we're going to talk about life and love and friendships and what got me here and the beginning, coming from Brooklyn, jobs I left, friends I missed, or missed me, probably, I don't even know. Lots of people coming and going. And just the most important things about life, which is staying true to yourself, finding people that you love, living life the way you should, true to yourself, not following anybody else's rules, never been married, never had children, didn't do all the shit I was supposed to do or was told I was supposed to do. And guess what? I'm still happy and I'm still sitting here. So that's what you can expect, just real stories about who I am, some of my friends, amazing people, some famous, some not famous, really fun, really good people, authentic people. I might actually bring in some exes who are assholes, which could be more fun because I'm going to set them up and not let them know they're going to be assholes. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. But that would be fun. Fun twist. My therapist might come on. That's one I've not talked about. I'm in therapy twice a week because I'm a normal. So I'm going to have my therapist possibly come on. And maybe I'll get fixed on the air because it hasn't worked off air. So maybe we'll get fixed. And we're just going to take a ride and see what it's like to just be a woman in 2024, single, doing her thing, and just trying to figure things out and do the best I can. And hopefully you guys will ride the wave with me. I don't know how to surf, but I can belly flop. So anyway, so let's get into it. This is Still Can't Cook. And the reason I call this Still Can't Cook is because my mom used to always say, I was the youngest of four and I was always funny and I was doing something. But I couldn't cook. I never learned to cook. So she would tell people, Kellyanne's cute as a button, still can't cook. So I was trying to figure out what I want to talk about. It made the most sense because the fact is I'm 53 and I still can't cook. I'm great at a lot of things, but cooking is not one of them. But thank you, Jesus, for ordering in and for Elios. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, youngest of four, Irish, Italian, Catholic. Father owned a bar, bought a bar the year I was born. So I was raised around bars and a bunch of really interesting people, very politically incorrect people. Had an uncle who was a criminal, and like a serious criminal. Criminal enough that we can't even say his name. But he was one of our biggest heroes growing up, and he would come around. He was always on the run. He worked for my father at the bar for a little while, and then he went on the lam. And so when he called, we'd all get excited. He called every day between 5 and 6 o'clock. And he would call, and my mom would be excited, and she'd hand us the phone, and we'd all say hello to him. But we knew there was something off, right? There was he was good, but he was also probably a killer. So there was that line of being afraid of him, but wanting to be close to him because he was cool and interesting. So he would come and go a lot when I was a kid, and he was always this really important, heavy presence in our lives, and other people would always talk about him. So fast forward, my mom had Alzheimer's. My mom is gone now, but she got Alzheimer's. My father had cancer. It's a fun story. Stick around. During my mom's Alzheimer's, I was kind enough to put all of her numbers in my phone because when we weren't at home, she wouldn't know where anything was and she had everything written down. So I have this phone. All the numbers are in it. My dad gets sick. My dad passes away. My mother then moves. And in the midst of all of this, somehow we lose touch with my uncle. So I am in Miami, probably, it's got to be 5 years after the last conversation. And again, he used to call every day, 5 or 6 o'clock. I'm in Miami. I drive past what looked like his old building. I say to the friend, I said, I think this is where my uncle used to live. I start getting could you imagine if what happened? He must have died, right? So I go through the phone and sure enough, it says Uncle R's hospital because my mom had told me that he was hit by a car or had an accident or something and he's in the hospital. So what's the chances? Maybe he died there. Who knows? So I call. And they answer the phone, and sure enough, I go, hi, this is going to sound crazy, but do you have so-and-so? Have you remember having so-and-so? The interesting thing is that they said something nursing home. So it turned out it wasn't a hospital. So either he had lied to my mother or my mother wrote it wrong, whatever. Before he had passed or not passed, I didn't know at that point, they both had Alzheimer's. So they would talk gibberish on the phone. Anyway, thought it was a hospital. Turns out it's a nursing home. Hi, this is crazy. This is the niece of so-and-so. Woman says, he was just at the desk getting cigarettes, said his sister was coming for him today. Facts. Just walked away. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? He's still alive? Not only alive, but expecting his sister to come get him. So I have a whole Jesus knew this was happening moment. It's all God is good. My friend is making fun of me. We get there, we walk in. I give no ID. They don't even ask. Just ask his name. They give me all the codes. Ding, ding, ding. I'm coding up, walking through it. We walk down these long hallways. I'm excited. I'm like, I'm going to see my uncle. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to see my uncle in this place. We're looking through these doors and I swear, I don't know if y'all watched One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, but it is that type of shit. There are people in beds rocking back and forth, this big fat lady naked with the baby doll crying. Everybody's like yelling at you as you walk by. I'm like, I'm going to like take these people like they're stray cats and bring all these fucking old crazy people home with me. Anyway, trying to get by without talking to everybody, which I stopped and talked to most of them. We get to the last gate, put it in, and he's in the TV room, right? So I put the code in, this gate opens, it's barbed wire, walk through, and in this room, this big white room, there's a TV. And to this day, I can't remember if it was just fuzz, you know, those scary like poltergeist fuzzes, or if there was actually something on the TV, but in my head, it was just the fuzz. And all of these black chairs, black pleather, lazy boy chairs, right? So I'm like, what is going on? Naked lady, someone's tied. I swear, I think she was taped. There was like someone taped to a chair, people rocking back and forth. Lady was like eating porridge. I think it was porridge. I hope it was porridge. And then sitting there in a Yankees jacket with a Yankees baseball cap, my grandfather's Yankees jacket, my grandfather's cap was my uncle. I walk over, he looks up and he calls me my mother's name. He cries, I cry, we're both crying. Calling my family, I'm like, you're not gonna believe this, but he's alive and I found him. And then, one of the best parts of the story is I end up calling my mother, who's full-blown at this point, Alzheimer's, as I keep reminding everybody. I call her on FaceTime. I hand my uncle, my mother, on a phone, and it's a video, and the two of them think they're the Jetsons. They're like, where are you? She's asking him if he's in prison. She says she's with my dad. Of course she's not. He says I think he thinks he's in Long Island. Long story short, they're going back and forth. I love you, I miss you. She says we're gonna break him out, because again, she thinks he's in jail, and we're gonna break him out of prison. I end up saving my uncle, getting him out. A week later, go back with my brother-in-law, and we end up reuniting my mother and her brother in Las Vegas. And for the last, I guess he lived about 6 years, he lived in Vegas. He got to hang out with us and be with our family and do all the things that he didn't get to do when he was the fugitive, right? Fast forward, he passes away. God bless. It happened since before he passed, lost son and daughter and wife. So there's no one next to kin. We're the next to kin. So my sister finds all the paperwork and goes then, we have him cremated. It was COVID. She goes to pick him up. All of the paperwork, every single document we had on my uncle was false. Everything from the name, he's got 20 different birth certificates. He's got a piece of paper saying that when he joined the army, he would have been 6 years old based on his date of birth. So everything is fake. We can't get him. So we have to argue. But I don't know what my sister did, but she ended up convincing them, even though none of the documents worked, that he was in fact our family, and maybe pictures or something. And we now have his ashes. But the fact of the matter is he was a criminal, and he was a criminal right up to the last moment where we couldn't even get him out. So that's part of my story. It's kind of interesting to be that child who had to keep all these secrets, right? One of the things that's making sense for me is thinking about telling the story to my mother and father, because they're no longer here. I don't want to cry, but they only saw me to my 40s. And man, I was scared shit in my 40s. So here's a funny story. All my friends were married, like all my girlfriends from home. I had all the same girlfriends I grew up with. My mom went to school with my best friend's parents. Like it was that kind of homesteader thing where I grew up in Brooklyn. All my girlfriends got married, and all my girlfriends got married, and all of them moved to the burbs. Not to put down the burbs, I'm not saying anything against it, but people start mowing lawns, having babies and carpooling, and things start going south for women. Men too, but men are allowed to have a pot belly, and it's cool. But anyway, I was the friend living in the city, single, hanging out, having to keep up. So I kind of looked better than their married friends. So I would go over, this is facts, I would go to pool parties, birthday parties, I'd be invited, and my friends would say, don't wear a bathing suit. Don't come with a bathing suit, because so-and-so, Tammy's husband was looking at blah, blah, blah. And I would have to go and apologize for A, being single, and B, being cute, because the body was, it's good at 50, but it was fucking tight at 20 and 30. Fact is, I couldn't just be unapologetic and go show up and be a girlfriend of other friends because I was single. I had to walk in the door apologizing. Had to be over nice to the ugliest of the friends, over nice to the flirtatious husband who there's always that one or two or five. So anyway, point is, being single, I had to apologize for a really long time, and it got kind of aggressive when my girlfriends all ended up doing the things I didn't do and get married. I ended up dating amazing people, some fucking psychos, but some really amazing dudes, and had a life opened up to me that a lot of people can't even dream of. I got to do and go and be in places that are just amazing. I also worked my ass off for 25 years in the same business, carrying a tray, cleaning tables, and wiping up toilets. And I would do that today too. So it's not like anything's different, except for that I got to see stuff other people didn't get to see. Still, made to apologize when I showed up at my girlfriend's houses and the ugly friends were mad that I was single and hot. You can relate to that, I'm sure. It happens to all of us. Let's take it back to the beginning. Okay. So I went to Catholic school growing up, right? I went to a Catholic school, and it was the same school my mom went to, and it used to be nuns, and it became just teachers. But we did have principals and priests that would come in and like call you out if you didn't pay your tuition and stuff. It was like those scary. As soon as you see someone with like habits, I guess they were called, they would come in, they call your name. You're like, oh shit, they didn't pay the fucking tuition. Scary. Religion becomes scary when you're a kid. Well, it became scary for me anyway. But my mom and I went to the same grammar school, same school she was married in, same church. We all kind of got baptized there, buried them there, waked them actually. So I went to high school and ended up going from Catholic school where they would hold your hand and bring you to class to go into a public school where you didn't have to do anything. It was bizarre. Like had to get myself to class, and no one even got mad if I didn't show up. No, they didn't even know where I grew up in Garrison Beach. If I didn't go to school, 25 people would tell my mother they saw me on the avenue. There'd be someone picking me up from the block down the street, knowing that I needed a ride home. But when I got to high school, I had this anonymity I never had before. No one had any idea who I was, which was cool because I was the youngest of this crazy Jackson 4 family. And I was finally just me, this girl, Kelley, that no one weren't calling my parents. So I stopped going to school. Like I stopped going to, I had these cool kids that weren't going to class. And I was like, oh, I could do that. I could just hang out and not go to school. And I realized I don't have to go to high school. And there's a kid in my high school, but we used to pay him $75 a band to put us through to the next class. So you could be a truant, right? I would get like 265 days I wasn't in class. But if you paid him, you still got matriculated, I think it was called, $75. And then you just would win a computer thing where you can use a eraser, and I would erase the days I was absent. Anyway, it's stupid. That's the only regret I have in my life is not going to high school. Well, one of the only regrets I have. But high school was a bad call. But it was fun back then. But he ends up leaving the school, and about 40 of us get called down. It's like this name, this name, and Kelley Fahey come down to Mr. McHugh's office. We knew it would happen. We're done. He's gone. We're all been paying. We're in 11th grade. We didn't go to class. One by one, we go into McHugh's office. One by one, people are like, I got to do 25 years of after school and summer school and all this crazy stuff. I sit down with Mr. McHugh. He tells me, I have not gone to class. I have not gone to class since 9th grade. He tells me I can graduate the New York City school system if and only if I take 4 full years of physical education. Doesn't matter if I can read, doesn't matter if I even know who Hamlet is, if I've ever done a math equation. All I need to do is be able to do physical education in New York, 4 full years of it to be able to graduate. And if I don't do that, and I don't know if you can see me, but I don't do that. Like if you can check out the rest of this, I don't do if I'm running, somebody's chasing me. So I have to do 4 years to graduate. And I said, no. Not going to happen. So they called my family, and they told my family I was officially kicked out of Edward R. Murrow High School. So I left Murrow, and I was determined to become an actress. And my father said, nope, you're going back to school. You have to stay in high school. So they took me out of Murrow, and they put me to Sheepshead Bay High School. So I went to Sheepshead for about an hour and a half, and again, became a truant. Not that I support cutting out of school. It's really bad. But once you start cutting out of school, it's really hard to go back to going to school. It becomes very complicated. So I went to Sheepshead for probably 2 weeks, I guess. And some girl banged into me in the hallway. When she pushed the teacher, I defended the teacher, and I ended up in a fist fight in the hallway of Sheepshead. And I was then thrown out of Sheepshead for being a truant and fighting in the hallway. So I didn't get to finish high school. But luckily, in the same year, my brother opened a place in the city called Peggy Sues. So that was kind of a great thing, although the family didn't think so. I had to work for my brother. So I would drive into the city, and I would collect the money at the door. I'd sit at a little box. It was a little stool with a box that I can collect the money in. It was cash back then. No one had credit cards. And I would sit and collect the money from people who came in. And one of the things that happened, one of the most important things in my life was Peggy Sues, because I still have been, the people that I met, these kids that I met back in Peggy Sues, remain some of my closest friends today. I sat at the store, and I let everyone from Grace Jones to, what's the dude's name that choked his wife? O.J. Simpson. I took $5 off him. I had Michael Hutchins walk in and tell me that that was him playing. It was One of My Kind was playing, and that might not be the name of the song, but I think you know what I'm talking about, from INXS. And he was like, that's me playing. And I was like, perfect. And it's $5. You have the money. But I met all these amazing people, and it took my little Kelley from Garrison Beach, Brooklyn, South, into this city. And I met all of these amazing people. And one of the places that was right by Peggy Sues was a place called the Boston Comedy Club. The Boston Comedy Club was run by a guy named Barry Katz. Jason Steinberg and Jordan Rubin and Neil Brennan were out the door. And one of the comedians that I became very dear friends with and later became the love of my life before I met On Again, Off Again. But via Jay, I ended up meeting all these incredible people, all these comics. And anyone who knows me now in my 50s realizes that the change in my life happened at Peggy Sue's, because young comedians like Dane Cook was coming up. You might know Dave Chappelle was coming up. There was Jeff Ross, who's now the Roast Master General. These were kids that we would sit around and smoke weed and talk about the famous people, right? We would hang out, drive from place to place and see if one of them could get it. Jay could always get up. Jay always got to get up because he was white. So he got to get up all the time, but all the other kids had to wait. Dave Chappelle couldn't get on stage at Caroline's and would have to wait. To be you could be 20 white headliners, but anyway, I'm going to go off topic here, but it's a true story that we would be able to get Jay up anytime we went places. But sometimes if there was another headliner that was of color, even funnier people couldn't get on stage. Anyway, so I was 16, 17 years old, and these were the kids I was running with. And now everyone kind of made their own way in the world, and he's still friends with Jay. He's married now and happy and doing his own thing, still a comedian. And remained friends with all these young comics who've come up, and through them, friends with wives and girlfriends and other friends. And my network of people have just become tremendous. And this little kid whose uncle was on the run, who didn't go to high school, whose first boyfriend used to steal cars, I just left that out, used to steal cars to pick me up and drive me back and forth to Morrow, even though I wasn't going to school, ended up in this incredible world with these amazing, brilliant, funny, fantastic people. And it has literally morphed my life into a very amazing place to be. And now, fast forward all these years later, this was 17, 18 years old at Peggy Sue's. I'm now 53 years old. Same people in my phone, same friends that I had. Some friendships gone, some people, small-minded people. Our lives didn't flow together because I kind of opened my eyes to new worlds, and some people unfortunately did not. But I got to take an incredible ride with these amazing people, and here we are, sitting in the same space now at 53, asking about what it's like to have kids in their 20s, and what we're talking about back pain and menopause and what kind of estrogen are you on, or what's your progesterone patch feel like? Well, it's an estrogen patch, progesterone pill. These are the things you find out after 50. But literally sitting with the same girlfriends I got my period with, I lost my period with. It's nuts. It's a crazy, crazy thing. This is all the shit I want to talk about and all the stuff that I think is super important, because God, you're going through that too, right? Is it bananas when you'd rather be stabbed in the eye than have sex? I would rather have my head shaved than have to even think about it, right? Look cute. Fuck off. I literally had my On Again, Off Again was just here 2 nights ago and asked me to get naked. And I thought about that for a hot second, and I was like, absolutely not. And he said, well, what about me? I said, I don't want you naked either. No shot. Me naked now. Unless I can work my angles myself, you are I'm walking around. There's some things you should not be doing at my age, and walking around naked is one of them. Unless the whole room is full of other naked women, because I look better than most of them. But not just on my own, walking around jiggling with lights and You got to get a boom, lighting, little circle thing. I can do it still, right? It gets better as you get older. It just gets fucking weird. I'd rather have a beard and know what a schmuck is when he walks in the door, know a narcissist the minute he says hi, and not have to go through the heartache that I went through again when my hair was thicker and my face was fuzzier. Less fuzzy. Face is fuzzier now. Fuzz is cute when you're a kid. Fuzz is not cute when you're an old lady. We're going to talk about On Again, Off Again, because we not really talked about him, and he's a major player in the life of Kelley Fahey. Sometimes fun, sometimes not so fun. But here's the story. I worked at a place for 25 years called the Soho Grand. And when I tell you I loved every day of those 25 years, I loved every second of it. I was the only person, anyone who knew me can tell you, I might get annoyed at someone I worked with, but I loved my job and I was fantastic at it. And man, I was a bartender, so I slang the drinks for these people, and they would come in, and I did their first Christmas party. And the one thing about the hotel when they first opened was all women on the floor carrying trays and only men behind the bar. And that was a no-go for me. I don't carry a tray, I'm a bartender. Because if you know F&B, that's your goal. You start on the floor, you want to everybody wants to be the bartender. Mixologist, as they call them now. So I was a bartender, and they kept offering me a job to be server, and I kept turning it down. And then one day they brought girls in to tell me what they were making behind the bar. On the floor. It turns out that on the floor there, they were making twice as much as I was making as a bartender. So I was like, I can carry a tray. Went over, trailed, what they call trailing, doing a job before you take the job to see if they want you and you want it. Fell in love with it. Started as a cocktail waitress, moved to the bartender, bar manager, floor manager, food and beverage manager, food and beverage GM, I believe. Had to handle budgets. Really was bad at that. I couldn't handle my own checkbook, never mind a budget. And ended up thinking I was quitting my job by walking out of a meeting when they were asking about a P&L. And if you don't know what that means, you shouldn't care because it's all stupid. But that's what happened. They asked me about my P&L. I said I didn't care. Thought I got fired. Tony called me back in and created the job called the Director of Guest Services, where I remained in Soho Grand for, I think, 7 or 8 years. I sat on the executive team when I left in 2020. But during the course of that time, I was in charge of our VIP guests. And this person, my on again, off again, moved into my hotel while going through a divorce. He was very high maintenance. He was very high net worth, apparently. I didn't know that to be true or not. People, say what they say. He's fancy. He was fancy. He still is fancy. But back in those days, I didn't really know this type of person. Anyway, fast forward. I'm taking care of him. People are around me, spinning around and doing things for him. And all of a sudden, too many people, too many hands, as they would say, too many hands in the same pot. So my boss came over to me and he said, look, this guy is difficult. His assistant is more difficult. We didn't really know him. We were only dealing with the assistant. I want you to take over on again, off again, and be in control of whatever goes on between him, his assistant, and the hotel, and make sure everything runs smooth. If you're in my corner, if you're one of my people, then I got you, and I got you in a room when you're in it and when you're not in it. So this is what goes on. So I said, okay, I'm going to take it over, talk to the assistant on the phone a few times, and she is a lot. My boss doesn't understand the word no. And when I ask her, I'm like, let's just sit face to face, you and I. So call a meeting, sit down with her, and first thing out of her mouth is, your fucking boss, blah, da, da, da. And I said, I said, nice to meet you, but I'm going to have to let you know you need to leave. Pack your boss, your boss. You can tell your boss that you just cursed about my boss, and that's why you can't stay in this hotel anymore. So when you're packing him and he wonders why, it's because you cursed about my boss to me. I go, no. You just cursed at me about my boss, where you're staying, a place your boss needs to live. So who did something wrong here? That would be you, correct? Let's bring it down and let's not curse. Oh, I'm so sorry, mind you, I curse like a fucking truck driver. So, but you can't curse about my job. Anyway, and she was like fancy, thinking she was better than me. So fast forward, I'm sleeping with a boss. 13 years now, bitch, in my apartment. Anyway, you know who you are, Patty. So we were sitting there and I told her not to curse. And so she stopped cursing and we went on to say, I'm going to be the person that takes care of your boss moving forward. I took care of her boss. Anyway, it means so much more now looking back on it. But so that day forward, I was the point person from him and everyone else in the building. He was a name everyone talked about, right? Like, oh, so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. And I hadn't seen him. But we had Hurricane Katrina, I think it was. And I came in and I was working room service. And he called the room service line. And they're like, in again, out again's on the phone, on again, off again, whatever the fuck he is. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, hi, this is Kelley. Oh, hi, he says. And then I'm like, oh, this guy's, he's got a voice. And he's like, so, and we start talking. Now the line's going. Everybody's calling room service. It is like there is a storm brewing. But who knew there was a real storm brewing between him and I? So I'm on the phone going, and then what happened? Oh, no. And then she divorced you? And I'm getting this thing with this dude. Mind you, I have a boyfriend. Didn't matter. But I had a boyfriend at the time. But I'm on the phone with this man on room service. And he was talking crazy stuff. But I couldn't get off the phone with him. I was so caught up in this guy's rap, and he was talking about politics and things I knew nothing about, but he had me at hello, as corny as that might sound. So then fast forward, we're calling each other and we're talking on the phone, and when he needs things, he's calling my desk, and it's like, on again, off again's on the phone. Oh, okay, what can I get you, Mr. On again, off again? And he's like, oh, I need champagne. Can you send flowers to so-and-so? I was sending flowers to women for him. Now I'd wring his neck. I'm with a girlfriend of mine. And I had heard he smoked cigars, but I never saw the man. So I'm sitting with a girlfriend of mine, and this man goes walking across the lobby, and I see the cigar and the hat and the long coat. And the coat goes with the voice. And I'm like, is that on again, off again? Tell him Kelley's over here. So sure enough, he turned around, and I swear to God, man, it was like, pow! He turned around. He's 5'7", possibly. I don't know. He is 13 years older than me. there was just this life-changing thing about this fucking guy. And he walked over and he said, and he has this thing about him. And anyone who knows him knows what I'm talking about. And he sat down and I was done. He did me in. Done. Never looked like anybody I ever dated, never talked like anybody I've dated. He was older than I'd ever dated, smarter than anyone I've ever dated, more successful, more established, and just a fucking, I say now, you don't meet him, you experience him. And man, it was like, whew, and that was it. It was a wrap. 13 years ago, that fucker, he did it. We were out the other night, and he had a dry cigar in his mouth, and I go, get that fucking thing out of your hand. What are you doing? You know what he had the first time we met? A dry cigar, just walking around. And I thought, oh, look how sexy. He's just got a cigar in his hand. Now I'm like, that's so annoying. Put the cigar away. You're not smoking it. He's slick. So he goes to my boss and he says, he's going through a divorce, brand new assistant. He knows the first assistant, the crazy one. You know who she is, Patty. She quits or gets fired. I think he fires her because she like jumped into bed with him. She wanted to be the next Mrs. On again, off again. He's going to Ibiza, and he goes and he asks my boss if I can travel with him to Ibiza. Now, this is the funny thing. A while back, I didn't know who Lizzo was. You got to stay the ride with me. I didn't know who Lizzo was, which is insane because I do respectfully know who you are now. Please do not get mad at me and don't sue. I didn't know who you were then. And we're having this group check, and they're talking about Lizzo this and Lizzo that, Lizzo, and I said, I don't know who Lizzo is. So then they start showing pictures and telling me all the music, and unfortunately, I still did not know. So I then Google, I ask, what's her name? Alexa. Oh, don't say her name. She'll talk to us. I asked her to who you were, Lizzo. And so she starts playing. I'm like, of course I know Lizzo. But the ongoing joke is that anytime we don't know something now, almost like searching has become Google, Lizzo has become the word of I don't know. So whenever there's something we talk about in the family, in my group text with my friends, if we don't know what it is, one of us will say Lizzo. That implies we don't know what you're talking about. So he went to my boss and asked if I could go to Ibiza with him. So Tony calls me into the office and he said, Mr. In-N-Out wants to know if you will travel to Ibiza with him. And I said, what's Ibiza? And we both like Lizzo. So we Google it and there it is. And it's like this beautiful island of all this fantastic, beaches and people and half naked. And again, I was in my 30s and it was hot. I was like, yeah, I want to be naked with in again, out again, for sure. He's like, okay, well, I don't want a whorehouse, so he can't go if you don't want da. He ends up sitting down, it's all professional, I have my own house, it's all going to be great. Well, the morning of Ibiza, first of all, I went shopping to TJ Maxx and what was the name of that store? I went to Daffy's. Girl, I haven't been in a Daffy's. Anyway, my fancy clothes for my trip to Ibiza, I know it's Ibiza now, but it was Ibiza back then, and still I'm from Brooklyn, it's Ibiza. Radiator, it's always going to be a radiator. Anyway, going to Ibiza, I go to Daffy's for my clothing. Now, I could run in those clothes and they'd set on fire, but I did. I thought it was fancy because I thought I had to have pajamas to sit with people. So my first time going on a private jet, we were picked up at Soho Grand, and then we were going to Teterboro. And for those of you who don't know what Teterboro is, because I didn't know either, it is a private airport in New Jersey. And it's very chez fancy where you get out and there's like this thing they call an FBO, right? Which is where you go and you sit and you're with all these other fancy people waiting for your private plane. And then they come, literally the captain comes over, introduces himself, and then you walk or have a car take you to a private jet where you literally walk upstairs and get on a plane like you are the Kardashians. And I did that before I even saw the Kardashians. So that's what Teterboro is. It's a private airport here in New York. Well, I guess outside of New York, but it's a private airport most people use when they're flying in and out of the East Coast. So I have my Veuve Clicquot, ready to rock with In Again, Out Again. We're driving there, and this person who had seemed so together and fancy and shit in the car starts to have a mental breakdown and starts spinning out and be a weirdo for the first time. This has continued many, many times after that. But for the first time, he starts spinning out. So I'm texting the hotel being like, what do you guys get me into? This guy's fucking nuts. Like, I got to come home. But I had never been with someone so spoiled, right? It's like the kind of person that he could tell a room full of people to shut up, and they do. Right? Like, what? You don't tell me to shut up. But he would tell people, and they do. So it was weird for me to be in the situation with him and telling the driver what to do. And I've learned later on that he wasn't really being a jerk. It's just who he is. We end up getting there, getting to Teterboro, getting on the plane. And the minute we got on his plane, he kicked into boss gear. So the guy that I met with the dry cigar still walking around the lobby was the same guy I got on the plane to go to Ibiza. And fast forward, about 2 weeks into our trip, I was literally head over heels, done, in love, like nothing I could tell you. Walking in a room with him was like walking into the room with the moon. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced. And we fell in love in Ibiza, and it has now been 13 years on and off, in and out, upside fucking down with him. And he's opened up an incredible world to me and changed almost every facet of my life has been changed because of him. Some mostly positive, some short-tempered negative, but it's been an incredible ride. And so a lot of the things that will come up when I'm talking about will be about him, because so much of my life has revolved around the importance of the relationship and the losses. So when we were together, I lost my dad, I lost my mother, I lost my cat, left my career, changed the apartment of 25 years. So lots and lots of changes. I said to him once, when we broke up a lot, but like a real serious breakup happened 2 years ago. One of the most like non-fixable breakups, to get back to kind of being like a solid core of a couple. And I said it was kind of like, for the first time, the moon was gone from my sky. The moon was gone, but I still had stars. He used to take the whole solar system, and I don't know if that's the right word, didn't go to high school, but you know what I'm talking about, constellations, whatever that is. But it used to be that it was all gone. But for this time, he did. The moon left, but the stars were there. And so that's where I live now. I live in the stars, and sometimes the moon's out and sometimes it's not. But he's an incredible, generous human being, and he's a giver. Giver of a lot of headaches and a lot of heartache, but it is what it is. He's special. So here's another thing. Let's dive into shit you deal with after 50, because we all know there is a lot of it. And we think we're going to get a little bit of, you get a taste, a tiny small taste of it in your 40s, like a tiny little, what's that little thing over there? Or how come I could pop a pimple on my back right here now, right? Because your skin fucking stretches like you an elephant. I could get a back pimple right here and put it back. Fucking weird. When you pinch your skin and it stays up, I used to think dehydration. No, that's just old. It's old people shit. So all that old people shit keeps happening. Weird stuff. Gray hair, losing hair, fat. Remember when you were kids, so again, 50s. Remember there was these stickers you used to put on your notebooks, and you could push them and they had water in them. They're like that water, you can move that. That's what your skin looks like all the time. Now you get that extra layer of 50 something underneath it, like one of those fucking water stickers. That's what I feel like. All my body's got that extra bloat underneath it. It's a strange time. It's a great time, but it's a strange time. It's weird to bend over and see wrinkly knees. It's weird to bend up and hear things crack on your way back up. It's weird that my back hurts all the time. I really can tell the weather by my fucking joints. That is not a lie. Things get weird, but it also is great because you don't give a fuck anymore. If I have a bad hair day, I don't give a fuck, as long as it's not on my chin. It's on the top of my head. That's the only thing I care about now. Shit changes. So that's what we're going to talk about, being 50-something and how you have to adjust. It is kind of a slow creep up. But then once it's there, it never fucking leaves. It just keeps going. It's like a creaking door that you can't oil. You know what was his name? The Tin Man? Every day, all day. I didn't think I was cute in my 20s. Go back and look at yourself in your 20s. I can't believe that girl, I got something in my teeth. Hang on a second. It's probably a piece of tooth. I'm fucking 50. Probably bit something off. No, it's just food. Sexy. See that? 40, I would have given a fuck. I would have been like, oh, we got to stop tape. No, I don't give a fuck what it is. Anyway. It wasn't a tooth. That's all that matters. It's probably more hair. It's probably mouth hair because shit starts growing everywhere. You lose it where you want it and you get it where you don't. Anyway, what am I talking about? Being old and fucking 50. Look, more tooth. What the fuck did I even eat? This is so not classy. Sorry about that. Something's going on. Oh, I had a bagel. I had everything bagel and everything is still going on. That's what's happening. I was like, first it was a poppy seed. Now I got some like white thing. Oh my God, I swear to God, people, I brushed my teeth, but we jumped into this too quick. Okay, here's a crazy thing that happened. Talk about on again, off again. We're in Miami. I, again, would rather eat sand than have sex. And we find a doctor where we're going to get ourselves right. We're going to get all the tests. We're going to do all the blood work, and we're doing all the things. And it's called like, I'm going to make up a name, but like Your Life. Find your life. Pay us $6,000 membership fee, and we'll give you your life back. So we go and we start taking all these things, and I'm doing the shots and the pills and I'm doing all this stuff, and I feel fantastic. I put on that 20 pounds, menopause pounds. Oh, those are fun. Those are great. I still have those. But anyway, put them on. I'm adjusting to them. We go to the doctor. They make all these, this is what you should do. This is your body weight. This is what you need. So I'm shooting myself up. I'm taking the pills. I'm feeling great. Psht, we break up. Halt, bam, done. We break up. So I come back to New York. shooting myself up with the testosterone, taking my menopause pills. I'm all happy. I'm going to have sex with somebody else because I don't need his ass and it's fine. I'm going to get skinny. It's going to be great. Dealing with the breakup, kind of finding my own way. All of a sudden, I go see a friend. I'm at a friend's house. My friend smokes. I start feeling a thing in my voice. I come home. I'm like, I got cancer. I got cancer from him. I'm an ex-smoker, mind you, so got cancer. I got cancer from myself, but I'm going to blame him. So I'm like, oh, Dave, smoke. I got cancer. On the phone with my best girlfriend, and she says, your voice sounds different. I'm like, yeah, I know. I have cancer. She's like, no. I think, what's your testosterone level? And I was like, I don't know, enough that I look like perfect and want to have sex all the time. She's like, well, you should probably have your levels tested. And I'm like, fucking levels? What are you talking about? So here's some information. If you're taking testosterone, like a bodybuilder, you need to see a doctor and have the shit tested. I think masturbating 5 times a day at 50 is normal. Yes, apparently it's not. I call the doctor. I say, so, hey guy, so what I did was I moved my testosterone from the person I was seeing to a person that I was friends with. I won't name names, but a friend. And I don't realize I'm supposed to have this level tested. My voice is changing. My voice now is not the same, right? So my voice is changing, but it was worse then. Call this doctor, call that doctor, get your level. What do you mean you haven't had your levels tested? Do you have a beard? I'm like, yeah, I'm 50, I have a fucking beard, I have a beard. What's your sex drive? I'm like, I would like to have sex with everybody all the time now. That's great. Well, that's not normal. How's your clit? Last time I checked, 3 times a day, it was happy to see me. How's it? What do you mean? How is it? Has it grown? Hold on. No, it's happy, but it's not grown any way that's weird. Okay, go get your levels tested. I go get my levels tested. First of all, body rock at this point. I am working out every day. I'm looking like a bodybuilder. Something to worry about. You don't look like a bodybuilder at my age. Voice changes. That little mustache I thought was 50, I get my numbers back. A normal woman, 25, 27, that's your testosterone, right? 14-year-old, 16-year-old boy. I think it's 1,200. I might be wrong. I'm not a doctor. You get the idea. I get my numbers back. 987. I was transitioning. Legitimately transitioning. I wasn't asking to transition. It was simply happening because I had my numbers so fucking high that I was a second away from being a dude. I could actually go fuck myself. That was what was happening. So the man voice, thank God I didn't get the grown clit because that is, the voice is unchangeable. Hair goes away. I don't really have a beard anymore. Well, I shaved today, so I'm fucking with you. I actually did shave. But the regular weird hair went away. Voice goes back a little bit. But if you did grow a penis, which I did not grow a penis, that is unchangeable. What happens with your clit? Well, what can happen with your clit, if your testosterone gets too high, you can transition and your clit can become a small penis of sorts. Mine did not become a small penis. Mine was, I would say, happy. It was a little puffier than usual, but it did not become a penis. Well, not a penis I would date anyway. So I had to go off the testosterone. And with going off the testosterone, I lost my beautiful muscular body. I lost my chin hair. I gained my weight back. And I no longer want to have sex. But now I'm leveled, apparently. I'm the normal 53-year-old. Point is, get your levels tested. And these are the things I talk about with the same girlfriends that I talked about how cute so-and-so was when I was writing them notes. Now I'm like, if he ain't writing checks, I ain't talking to him. So whole different thing, whole different vibe. 50's different. 50 sits different. I tell you that. 50, I don't even know. I'm not 50, I'm 53. 53 sits different than 50. 50 was like, oh, this is fantastic. 53 is when your fucking knees start looking like an elephant when you bend over to do your hair. I look down, I got more wrinkles on my knees than I do on my neck. And my knees are showing, but they look good because I got them rounded. So lots of cocoa butter people, lots of Botox and fillers and all this stuff. But mind your levels. You got to know your levels because you don't want to have an engorged clit because you can't get it back to normal. And that'd be really uncomfortable in a pair of Spanx, Although actually there's a hole in Spanx. Maybe that's why they made Spanx. For people over 50 who have high testosterone because you can literally let your clit dangle. Things to think about. I don't have to apologize to anybody. People expect me to do weird, stupid shit because I'm just close enough to almost be too old. So I can say things like, I forgot. You can forget a lot of stuff. We're at the age where you don't have to remember things. I don't have to know why I walked in the room. I don't have to wear things that matter anymore. I could wear clothes that are too young for me and too old for me and it's still cute. I can wear denim shorts and I can wear khakis. Can't do that. I shouldn't probably wear denim shorts, but I still do. So I can do anything I want to do. And so can you. That's what's fun. 50 is great. I used to say in my 20s, I spoke it a lot, that all you have is your word. And I was full of shit when I was saying it. Now I realize it's the facts. Like, I really have to stick to what I believe in, even if it ruffles feathers and I lose friends. And it's happened. I think people should be excited about the podcast because I don't think, first, there's no one else like me who has the opinions and the life that I have. The juxtaposition of what it is to be Kelley Fahey is a little bit bananas, between growing up in Brooklyn and, you know, having my heat shut off and sleeping at the door, hoping that the wind blew through just so you can get a fan in the summertime, to jumping on private jets with in again, out again, and living a life that's just brilliant. I got a lot to talk about because I've been through a lot, and it's super fun and exciting, and I'm so blessed to be here, and I just want to share it with somebody. And I feel like this is the absolute right way to do it because I think it's important to have a voice that people can listen to and relate to. I think it's imperative that to talk about the things that people my age talk about. I think like a lot of times people get bitter at my age, like you didn't find the one and you didn't have the kids, and it's not like that. There are moments that you'll stop and you'll wonder, did I do the right thing? Did I make the right choices? I don't have anybody to take care of me when I get old, and my dog is surely not going to do it. So those are the things that I stop and wonder and worry about. But I think we all do, right? You can have kids that you raised and they don't like you and you don't like them. That happens too. So I feel like it's just this ride that we're taking that I want to take with you. It's like, what's it about in your 50s? What's it feel like when you didn't do exactly what you were supposed to do? When you didn't do the christenings and the weddings and the graduations and the, you know, all the stuff that you're told you're supposed to do? Because I didn't do any of them. And I am actually waking up every day happy. And it's an amazing thing when you go, oh, you know who I got? I got me. I have an incredible corner of friends, a wonderful psychotic family, the best dog that ever lived, and a really beautiful life. And I want to share my life with you guys, and I want you to share yours with me. I think it's an incredible outlet. It's a great time that this is how we can relate to one another on this microphone thingamajiggy and get this all done. Whatever happens, I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited about the fact that I'm not 40. I'm excited about the fact that I am in charge of my own life and I don't care anymore about the small shit. Little things that used to upset me or things I used to worry about, I no longer worry about. It just gets better. I am so much better than I ever was before. I'm smarter. I have no time for the bullshit. I say it like I mean it. I don't worry about how you react to my feelings because guess what? When I'm wrong, I will apologize, which was really scary when I was 30. Everything is better. I just feel more at peace. I feel like there's stuff that goes on every day that changes at this age, and it's fun. I just want to talk about what matters to me, what drives me nuts, my pet peeves. I want to hear your pet peeves, my guest pet peeves. I just think it's an interesting time to be me, to be us, to be this age in this space and time. And I want to tell my own story. That's another thing that's important. I don't have any children. I used to say all the time, who's going to tell my story? I don't know if y'all seen Hamilton. You should see it. Who lives, who dies, who tells our story. I got to tell the story because no one else is telling it for me. So I'll tell you the truth. I promise you that. It's going to be all the truth. You might not like it. Other people might not like it, but it will always be the facts. I promise I'll tell the truth and stay honest. So someone's got to tell the story, and I want me to be the one that tells my story. I just hope you listen. So thank you so much for tuning into the first ever episode of Still Can't Cook. I know you'll be here next week. Look forward to seeing you again and you guys seeing me. I swear I'll change my clothes, probably shave again, get some new lipstick for you. But please, if you like what you see, subscribe. Don't remember the other words. I have no idea. I'm Lizzo-ing the fuck out of this. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Hey guys, thank you so much for showing up for Still Can't Cook. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcasts, on YouTube or any other podcast provider. And if you're on Instagram or TikTok, please follow us at Still Can't Cook. Love to have you guys back every week. So happy that you joined us and look forward to seeing you next week.